Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the top 5 earning artists, global earning artists for 2020. This was recently compiled by Billboard, and you're going to be really surprised who that is. So what was used to compile this was streaming reports, digital sales, and tour net income for these artists. 3 of them are American artists, 2 of them are not American artists. So we'll start from number 5 and count down to number 1. Hi, I'm Tim Wolf, and I'm a Nashville-based singer-songwriter and artist. You can listen to some of my music. There's a link down below in the description where you can download 10 of my songs for free. Check that out. There's also a link where you can listen to some of my music on Spotify. Appreciate that very much if you check that out. The way this was compiled, Billboard did some extrapolation. Really good data in the US for physical sales and also streaming data. There's not quite as robust information for physical sales specifically in many other territories in the world. Billboard had to do some extrapolation. So the top 22 artists in the US Moneymakers list were taken and extrapolated for global sales. So the September 2020 launch of the Billboard global charts has made this a lot more accurate because now they have streaming numbers for a number of 200 territories across the world. And that's pretty much most of the streaming territories that there is. It certainly get you very close to what the streaming numbers are. And then they took the physical sales and the digital sales. Digital sales will be downloads. And the US accounts for 30.6% of all physical sales. That would be vinyl and CDs. And the US accounts for 50.6% of all digital sales. That would be physical or downloads of the digital songs. And then they extrapolated that. As far as the songwriting royalties, they extrapolated that. That's the publishing. And they used that US model and extrapolated that. And every territory has a little bit different of payout. So it was an approximation, but they're trying to arrive at the top moneymakers, global moneymaker artists for 2020. And they ended up with 5. And as I said, 3 of them are Americans, 1 is from Asia, and 1 is from Europe. So let's get right into it. Number 5 is Post Malone. Post Malone is the number 5 moneymaker, global moneymaker. Total income for Post Malone in 2020 was $29.7 million. That's number 5. Post Malone made $13.2 million from touring. And he had a really good 2020. He was able to get a lot of his touring in before the shutdowns happened. So 13.2 was the 4th best global touring income that there was for any artist. Post Malone ranks number 2 on the US Moneymakers list, but he slipped to number 5 on the global list. So he's not quite as popular outside the US as he is in the US. Post Malone had 5.6 billion domestic streams in the US, but he isn't, again, because he isn't as popular outside, he was only able to add 4.6 billion more outside the US, but still not too shabby. So 29.7 million total take home, 13.2 million from touring, royalties from streaming about 12 million, global stream count 10 billion streams in 2020. Number 4 was the Korean supergroup BTS, and they came in at total income of $31.5 million US dollars. They had a 0 box office take home. 0. So they made all of that from streaming and sales. That is amazing. There's only one other artist on this list who had 0 take home for touring in 2020 and still made the top 5. BTS had $14.6 million in streaming royalties, which is about half of their total income. Global stream count, their global stream count was 17.3 billion. So they're just killing it on the streaming. Number 3 is American Billie Eilish. She had a total of $32.8 million in income. Almost $33 million. She had a 1 million box office income take home, which was small compared to, say, Post Malone, who had 13.2 million. She had streaming royalty of about 13.6 million and a global stream count of 13.7 billion. Let's compare numbers 3, 4, and 5. Billie Eilish had 13.7 billion streams. BTS had 17.3 billion, and Post Malone had 10. Billie Eilish is the sole American artist to rank higher on the global moneymaker list than she did on the US list. She ranked number 3 on the global list. She was number 5 on the US Moneymaker list. The reason that she's so high is because her global streaming numbers. She's number 2 on the global streaming list. as far as sales for 2020 or streams for 2020. She had 13.7 billion streams, Billie Eilish did. Her global royalty estimate is $13.7 billion. So the difference between the income that people got from streaming and touring was their global sales amount. So number 2, American artist Taylor Swift. And she had 0 touring income in 2020. But her total take home for 2020 was $41.4 million. Brings her in at number 2. Taylor Swift was number 1 on the US Moneymaker list, but she dropped to number 2. She was bumped from the top spot on the global Moneymaker list by our number 1 artist, who we'll get to in a minute. So Taylor Swift, her strengths were because she owns her masters to her 2 albums that she released in 2020. She owns the masters to Folklore and she owns the masters to Evermore. So because she owns the masters, she reaps a large percentage of the income that is derived from those albums. So a very savvy business move for her to leave Big Machine Records and go to a new label where she was able to keep her masters. That vaulted her to number 1 in the US Moneymaker market and number 2 in the global. Billboard estimates that she takes 46% of her global streaming and sales revenue, but it's so strong that she's still able to stay at number 2 for the global list. Taylor Swift had 11.6 billion streams. Her take home for that was almost $20 million, $19.8 million for Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift's over 40 million for the year 2020. And remember, Billboard thinks these numbers are conservative. So who do you think our number 1 artist is? It is none other than Queen. Classic rock band from the UK with Adam Lambert as the lead singer replacing Freddie Mercury. Queen made $48.7 million in 2020 to put them at the top of the list. Almost $50 million. They made $15 million from touring, which is a very hefty take, and much more than, say, Taylor Swift, who made 0, and Billie Eilish, who made $1 million. Post Malone also had a good 2020 for touring. He made 13.2, but Queen made 15 million. So their top 5, they're at the top for touring. And they also, for a classic rock band, they do really well with streaming. Their global stream count for 2020 was 7 billion streams. That's really good for a classic rock band. Now, of course, that was helped by the movie that came out, and there was a biopic about Queen. I think it was it 2019 that it came out. So they're on the consciousness. Everyone knows about Bohemian Rhapsody, played on classic rock. Their concert tours just killing it. So they're number 1 on the global list. Also, that helps them. Their original members own their masters. So that helps them like it helps Taylor. I think it's the bass player that is no longer with the band. He retired some years ago, but I'm sure he's still reaping his percentage of the streams that come in, or his percentage of the income that come in, because he's part of the band and he still owns part of the masters. Queen has had no studio albums since 1995, which is amazing. So 26 years since they've come out with a studio album, and they're still killing it. All of their music is at least 26, and they're still number 1 on the global Moneymaker chart. And Queen had no US dates in 2020. All of their touring income was outside the US. Queen was number 7 on the US Moneymaker list. Their strength is not so much in the US as it is outside the US. But still, they made $5 million from streaming in the US. So there you have it. Our top 5 global moneymakers for 2020. Number 1 was Queen. Number 2, Taylor Swift. Number 3, Billie Eilish. Number 4, BTS. And number 5, Post Malone. I hope you enjoyed my summary. Please leave comments down below if there's any other subject you'd like me to take on and summarize for you. I respond to every comment. Don't forget to check out my music down below in the description. I'll see you next time. Hey everybody, this is Tim Wolf. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please go to the link down below in the description. There's a Bitly link. Listen to my music at Spotify. I appreciate it very much. It means a lot to an artist if you follow them. If you would be kind enough to like the video if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Finally, be sure to subscribe. And also, there are other videos on this screen that you can watch. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.